Hello everyone, today we'll be discussing our 24-25 TISD Employee Handbook brought to you by our HR department here at Tornillo ISD. Here you'll see our Tornillo ISD mission and also our TISD goals, both of which you can find on our TISD website. Our Tornillo ISD priorities, priority number 1, student-centered learning climate. Priority number 2, every student prepared for success in college or career. Priority number 3, professional capacity. And last priority number 4, learning community partnerships. And before we get started on our heavier topics, we're going to have some little jokes in between to lighten up the atmosphere a little bit. How do bees get to school? They ride the school bus, of course. To get started, we're gonna go right into standards of conduct. This can be found in Policy DH. All employees are expected to work together in a spirit of cooperation to serve the best interests of the district and be courteous to students, to each other, and to the public. The district prohibits the use, possession, or display of any firearm, restricted knives, or prohibited weapon on district property at all times. So please do not bring any of these items, any firearms, restricted knives on district property. Next, we're going to discuss the use of technology with students. This is very important. A certified employee, licensed employee, or any other employee designated by the superintendent or school principal may use electronic communication with currently enrolled students only in matters within the scope of the employee's professional responsibilities. So please do not email, text message, anything like that with any students if it doesn't pertain to any professional responsibility, any school, anything related to school. Unless previously authorized, all other employees are prohibited from using electronic communication directly with students who are currently enrolled in the district. An employee will be prohibited from using electronic communications in a manner that constitutes prohibited harassment or abuse of a district student. If it negatively affects student learning, mental health, or safety, if it includes threats of violence against a student, discloses any confidential information about the student, or if it constitutes inappropriate communication with a student as outlined in the Educator Code of Ethics. Personal use of technology. All employees will be held to the same professional standards in their public use of electronic communication as they are for any other public conduct. If an employee's use of electronic communication violates state, federal, or district policy, or if it interferes with the employee's ability to effectively perform his or her job duties, the employee is subject to disciplinary action, which may include termination of your employment. Please report any inappropriate communication. An employee must not reveal their personal email address or personal phone number to a student. So if you do need to communicate with a student, please make sure you do so by means of school email, school telephone, never by your personal email address or anything like that. Sexual harassment of students. These are all found in policies DH, DHB, FFG, FFH, and FFI. Again, all of these found on our district website. Sexual and other harassment of students by employees are forms of discrimination and are prohibited by law. Romantic or inappropriate social relationships between students and district employees are prohibited. Again, a lot of this information is common sense, but we do need to go over it. Employees who suspect that a student may have experienced prohibited bullying are required to report their concerns to the school principal or any other appropriate district official. All allegations of prohibited harassment of a student by an employee or adult will be reported to the student's parents and promptly investigated. Tobacco and electronic cigarettes. An employee shall not smoke or use tobacco products or e-cigarettes on district property. Please make sure you don't come to work smelling of smoke or anything like that, or do it if you think you're going to step outside school doors and do it there. No, it cannot be on any district property. Why can't basketball players go on vacation? Anyone? They would get called for traveling. And next, we're going to go on to talk about alcohol and drugs. It is a drug-free workplace. An employee shall not manufacture, distribute, dispense, possess, use, or be under the influence of any of the following substances during work hours while on district property or in school-related activities, during or outside of regular business hours. Any controlled substance or dangerous drug as defined by the law, including marijuana, any narcotic, hallucinogen, stimulant, depressant, or amphetamine. Alcohol or any alcoholic beverage, any abusive glue, spray paint, any other intoxicating drug or one that changes the mood or alters the mind or behavior. An employee does not need to be legally intoxicated to be considered under the influence of a controlled substance. So please do not come hungover to work. Maybe you had a little bit much to drink on a Sunday and you're going to think, oh, I'm fine by Monday, and no one's going to know. You can still smell of it, so just please be mindful of that. Arrests, charges, convictions, and other adjudications. An employee shall notify his or her immediate principal or supervisor within 3 calendar days of any arrest, indictment, conviction, no contest or plea, or other adjudication of the employee for any felony, any offense involving moral turpitude, and any of the other offenses as follows. As you may all remember, we all did have to take fingerprints before we started working for a school district. So we are all subscribed, is what we call it, to everyone's files. So at the moment that anyone is arrested or anything like that, we do get notified immediately. We receive an email, we receive the file with all the information. So just please remember that you have those 3 calendar days to report any of that. Crimes involving the attempt by fraudulent or unauthorized means to obtain or alter any certificate or permit that would entitle any person to hold or obtain a position as an educator. Crimes that occur wholly or partially on school property or in any school-sponsored event or activity. And it goes on to talk about crimes involving moral turpitude, dishonesty, fraud, deceit, theft, deliberate violence, any felony possession or a conspiracy to possess, or any misdemeanor or felony transfer, sale, distribution, or conspiracy to transfer or sell. Any felony like driving while intoxicated, or acts that constitute abuse or neglect under the Texas Family Code. Standards of conduct. This is our DH policy. Please know and comply with department and district policies and procedures. Always express concerns, complaints through the appropriate channels. Please observe all safety rules and regulations and report any injuries or unsafe conditions to a supervisor immediately. If you notice that there's wet water on the floor anywhere, if you notice that the rug is lifted anywhere, just please report that immediately. We want to make sure that we can prevent any accidents or anything like that. Please use district time, funds, and property only for authorized district business and activities. Standards of conduct, it goes on, recognize and respect the rights of students, parents, and other employees and community members. Please maintain confidentiality in all matters related to students and coworkers. Report to work according to the assigned schedule. Notify your immediate supervisor in advance in the event that you're going to be absent or late. Unauthorized absences or chronic absenteeism and chronic tardiness and failure to follow procedures for reporting an absence may be grounds for disciplinary action. Please remember that after 3 absences, we do need to provide a doctor's note. What does a math teacher climb for fun? A geometry. Next, we're going to talk about sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is a form of sex discrimination defined as unwanted sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, physical, verbal, or nonverbal conduct for sexual reasons. The conduct can be so severe or persistent or pervasive that it has a purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with the employee's job or performance. Examples of sexual harassment may include sexual advances, coercing or forcing a sexual act on another person, or even jokes or conversations. An employee who believes that he or she has experienced prohibited conduct or believes that another employee has experienced prohibited conduct must immediately report the alleged acts. Alternatively, the employee may report the alleged acts to one of the district officials below. So you're going to see, of course, the superintendent. You can report it to HR department, of course. And we do have prohibition of retaliation. The district prohibits retaliation against an employee who files a complaint alleging that he or she has experienced discrimination or harassment. Examples of retaliation may include termination, opposition to hiring, demotion, and denial of promotion. Retaliation can also include threats, intimidation, coercion, or unwarranted negative reviews. Reporting child abuse. This is a very important. State law requires all employees to report any suspected child abuse or neglect as defined in the Texas Family Code. You can report to Child Protective Services. Reports to Child Protective Services, can be made online to the El Paso County Sheriff's Department or the Texas Abuse Hotline. State law specifies that an employee cannot delegate or rely on another person or administrator to make the report. Teacher, you know you can't sleep in my class. And what does the student say? Maybe if you were just a little quieter, I could. Next, we're going to talk about compensatory time. Non-exempt employees are employed at will and receive notice of the days of service, holidays, and work hours required for their position on an annual basis. Paraprofessional and ancillary employees must be compensated for overtime and are not allowed to work in excess of their assigned schedule without prior approval from their supervisor. At the district's option, any non-exempt employees may receive compensatory time off in lieu of overtime pay for overtime work. The employee will be informed in advance if overtime will accrue compensatory time in lieu of pay. The district compensates overtime for non-exempt employees in accordance with federal laws. Only non-exempt employees, hourly employees and paraprofessionals, are entitled to overtime compensation. Non-exempt employees are not allowed to work beyond their normal work hours without prior approval from a supervisor. A non-exempt employee who works overtime without prior approval will be subject to disciplinary action, and that will include termination. Employees can be compensated for overtime at a time and a half rate with compensatory time off or direct pay. The following applies to all non-exempt employees. Compensation time must be used in the year of service in which it was earned. The use of comp time may be at the request of the employee, with the approval of the supervisor as the workload allows, or at the direction of the supervisor. An employee is required to use comp time before using available paid leave. This includes sick, personal, or vacation. Weekly time records will be maintained for all non-exempt employees, and for the 24-25 school year, all overtime and compensation must be pre-approved by the superintendent's office. Time cards. The window to mark your check-in or check-out and meal times will be only 3 minutes before and 3 minutes after your work time. So please be very mindful of that. 3 minutes. When the time difference exceeds 3 minutes, the working hour will be affected. It'll cause you to gain or lose time. Any inconsistencies in check-in or check-out and meal times will be constantly monitored. Constant inconsistencies in your clock times can result in documented calls for attention and even possible dismissal. So some more information on time cards. What is a missing record? Employees failed to check in or out for the day, or in or out from lunch. The employee forgot to use the time clock to clock in or out. What is not a missing record? The clock is inactive, pending service, and human resources has been notified. So if you ever see one of our time clocks is down, it's not working, please contact us, contact IT, so that someone knows, someone is notified, and they're working to get it back up. The employee was stopped to provide customer service and was unable to clock in or out for the day or for lunch. The employee had an emergency and did not return from lunch or left suddenly. Again, these are all examples of what is not a missing record. The employee was attending a training and was unable to clock in or out for that day or for lunch, and the employee's transaction was abandoned or the transaction was not completed according to the time clock system reports. So here's a little timeline for time cards. The first infraction, it'll be a verbal counseling session. The second infraction, it's going to be a written counseling record. Third infraction, written reprimand. We're going on to fourth infraction, second reprimand, recommend 1 day suspension to HR and performance of an improvement plan. If you get to a fifth infraction, that'll be a third written reprimand and recommend 3 day suspension to HR. And a sixth infraction will be a recommendation for termination to HR. Another joke of the day. What do you call a teacher who never farts in public? A private tutor. Next, we're going to talk about workers' compensation. Please report personal and third party accidents immediately. If the accident occurred in the workplace, a report needs to be made to Human Resources Office. The first 7 days of the absence in regards to a workers' comp injury are do come from your personal days. All of our ladies in the front office do have the injury report. So in the event that you do get injured, please call me or Miss Carol. We will always come by and take a look and see what happened and help you fill out the injury report. And we also have a list of clinics that you may go to if you need to. Unemployment. Employees who have been laid off or terminated through no fault of their own may be eligible for unemployment compensation benefits. Employees are not eligible to collect unemployment benefits during regularly scheduled breaks in the school year or the summer months if they have employment contracts or reasonable assurance of returning to service. Sick Leave Bank, we are getting ready to send the email for those of you who would like to contribute to the Sick Leave Bank. Tornillo ISD has established a Sick Leave Bank that employees may join through contribution of local leave. Leave contributed to the bank shall be solely for the use of participating employees. So if you did not participate in the Sick Leave Bank, you are not eligible to receive the 10 days in an qualifying event, of course. An employee who is a member of the bank may request leave from the bank if the employee or member of the employee's immediate family experiences a catastrophic illness or injury, and the employee has exhausted all paid leave. So this is very important. It has to be a catastrophic illness or injury in order for you to be eligible. FMLA, Family and Medical Leave Act. The following text is from the Federal Notice for Employee Rights and Responsibilities under the FMLA Act. Specific information that the district has adopted to implement the FMLA follows this general notice. Leave entitlements. Eligible employees who work for a covered employer can take up to 12 weeks of unpaid job protected leave in a 12-month period for the following reasons. It can be for the birth of a child. It can be to bond with a child. The leave must be taken within a year of the child's birth. To take care of an employee's spouse, child, or a parent who has qualifying serious health condition. For the employee's own qualifying serious health condition that makes the employee unable to perform their job, or for qualifying exigencies related to the foreign deployment of a military member who is the employee's spouse, child, or parent. 4 out of 3 people struggle with math. Did you guys know that? I didn't. Complaints and grievances. This is policy DGBA. In an effort to hear and resolve employee concerns or complaints in a timely manner and at the lowest administrative level possible, the board has adopted an orderly grievance process. Employees are encouraged to discuss their concerns or complaints with their supervisors or an appropriate administrator at any time. So there are 3 levels. Level 1, the complaints forms must be filed within 15 days that the employee first knew with reasonable diligence or should have known of the decision or action giving rise to the complaint or grievance. Standards of conduct, policy DH, all employees are expected to work together in a cooperative spirit to serve the best interest of the district and to be courteous to students, one another, and to the public. Employees are expected to observe the following standards of conduct. Please recognize and respect the rights of students, parents, other employees, and members of the community. Please maintain confidentiality in all matters relating to students and coworkers. Please report to work according to the assigned schedule. Notify your immediate supervisor in advance or as early as possible in the event that you're going to be absent or late. Know and comply with department and district policies and procedures. Please express concerns or complaints to the appropriate channels and use district time, funds, and property for authorized district business and activities only. Conflict of interest is policy CB and DBD. Employees are required to disclose in writing to the district any situation that creates a potential conflict of interest with proper discharge of assigned duties and responsibilities, or if it creates a potential conflict of interest with the best interest of the district. This includes any of the following: personal financial interest, a business interest, you may have a job that might be a conflict, any other obligation or relationship, or a non-school employment. Employees should contact their supervisor for additional information on this. The Internet Acceptable Use Policy. Tornillo ISD's Internet Acceptable Use Policy is to prevent unauthorized access and other unlawful activities by users online. Tornillo ISD will use technology protection measures to block or to filter to the extent possible access of visual depictions that are obscene, pornographic, and harmful to minors over the network. Tornillo ISD reserves the right to monitor users' online activities and to access, review, copy, and store or delete any electronic communication or files. So please be aware of any sites or anything that you are accessing under the district's internet, because everything is being monitored. What do you call an English teacher with a social media addiction? This is a good one. It's an Instagrammer. I'm sure we have a lot of Instagrammers out there. Next, we're going to go on to discuss our medical benefits. Open enrollment is going to be from August 5th through the 8th. So please be sure that you are aware of the dates that they will be coming to your campus so that you can meet with them and discuss your benefits. TRS Active Care Plan highlights. We're going to email this to all of our employees where you can see the highlights and also the Employee Benefits Center. So here we have our TRS Active Care comparison that we send every year. We compare last year's 23-24 plans to this year, and everyone will be receiving this via email so you can take a look and see what's changed. Here we have our EduHero training schedules. Please keep in mind what trainings are due by what dates. That way we complete them as we should. And please make sure that you have a copy of our academic calendar. You can also find our work duty calendars in our Tornillo ISD Human Resources Department page. All of our work duty calendars are there. And thank you so much for your time. I hope everyone has enjoyed our presentation on our 24-25 Employee Handbook.